Hello, my name is Johnny. Welcome to another World War II 172 scale video. Today we're going to look at the differences and the similarities of the M3 medium tank, the Grant, and the Lee. If you'd like, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, like, reply, and share. This is the General Grant tank, and this was used by the British. And this is the General Lee, the Lee tank, and used by the Americans. First of all, let's look at the right here. You can see it's the same body. It's got a sponson 75mm gun, pretty similar to what's on the Sherman tank there, but limited in its use, being in a sponson like this. I believe this had a crew of 6 or 7 because of the two guns. They each have a 37mm gun in the turret, used primarily, if not against the Germans, on the North African campaign, the Grant and the Lee, used by the Americans in Tunisia. And they might have been used a little bit in the invasion of Sicily and the beginning of Italy, but they were withdrawn as the Sherman tank took over. They also used the Lee and I think the Grant in the Far East campaign against the Japanese, and the Lee was also provided Lend-Lease to the Russians, and they used them. And I think it's true that one of the nicknames for it was a coffin, for an armored coffin for 7 brothers, as it would get destroyed fairly easily. You can see it's kind of cool, not back then, but I like the look of the rivets all on it. See that here? Very nice. These are came out in like 05, 06. Unimax Toys. And they're metal, cool to the touch, very nice. And they always put like an antenna on, and then they put a commander in there. So we've got a British commander there, and then we have the American commander. And now we'll get to the main difference. It's the turret. So this was the standard one that they made as the Lee. And what's cool about this, to me, it's got even this little mini turret there with a 30 caliber machine gun in there. And the British wanted more room for their radio in here, so the turret was redesigned, and as you can see, they got rid of the extra machine gun there. And this one also has a machine gun there, a coaxial. And you can see they have a coaxial machine gun there. But so they got rid of that, and it's a little bit different profile. This is taller there, and that. So this is the same gun that's on the Stuart tank, the 37mm. So it was good against lightly armored units, but they really needed more punch of the 75. But like I said, this was restricted because it was, the firing arc, and also if it was hull down, it wasn't in a turret, so it was blocked if they were in hull down position. And on a side note, I don't know if you've ever seen it, there's a cool movie made during World War II, I think it's 1943, with Humphrey Bogart, called Sahara, and he's the commander of a tank. The name on the tank is Lulu Bell. I recommend it if you haven't seen it. Black and white movie made during the war. This one's called Kentucky here, but Bogart's in that, and also has a young Lloyd Bridges, who also has 2 sons that were actors. So it's a fun movie. I always liked the Lee. Way back in time, I built the Monogram 172 scale, and they made both the Lee and the Grant. This is neat looking too because of the camouflage on it, and then they've got this big bustle of tarpaulin on there, and supplies. You can see how they have a big door on the side to get in. View hatches, hatch up there, another hatch there. And cool. And then this was the classic layout of the tow cable and the shovel and other tools. Here's the back. So all in all, a very cool tank, and it was some deal when I was reading. They couldn't just go to the production of the Sherman, because these weren't, it wasn't like these were out and then the Sherman just completely replaced them. In the desert, these were out first, and then right within so many months they started getting the shipments of the Sherman tank too, which they used these and the Shermans famously at the Battle of El Alamein, the Second Battle of El Alamein. So they could take on, they have mainly Panzer IIIs. They didn't really have that many long-barreled Panzer IVs until towards the end of the fighting in North Africa. So pretty effective, and then they were also fighting the Italians, and these far outclassed the Italian tanks, and were hard for them to knock out. Got kind of sloped armor there, but not too much slope there. And like I said, it's riveted, so that was a drawback to the design, because I think rivets or something, when they hit, they can pop in and cause damage to the crew inside, as opposed to welding at armor and so forth. And of course the turrets turn, so very nice. I'll leave a link here at the end to some more appropriate tanks. If you'd like, you could leave a super thanks, and I'd appreciate that if you wanted to. Till next time, more World War II 1/72 scale. Thanks for watching, everyone.